Did you know that the water you drink was once part of an ocean? Did you know that the water found on Earth today is all the water that ever existed on the planet? Let's learn about the value of this liquid gold, water, by following the journey of a single drop of water from the ocean to your lips and back. Water is continuously being recycled from one form to another in a continuous process made up of 4 stages: liquid to gas, gas to liquid, water that falls from clouds as rain, snow, sleet, or hail. Water is absorbed by the soil and stored in porous rock beneath the surface of the earth. Do you know that most industries cannot run without the water cycle? Indeed, every loaf of bread you consume uses about 570 gallons of water from the water cycle. Did you know that you might not live beyond 7 days without drinking water? Did you know that the human brain is made up of 75% water, just like living trees? Did you know that the sun is designed to evaporate 1 trillion tons of water every day? And you make water. To produce water from its components, you would have to join 2 atoms of hydrogen with 1 atom of oxygen. If you were to simply mix hydrogen and oxygen, however, nothing would happen. That's because the orbits of hydrogen and oxygen atoms need to become linked, and to do this, you would need a spark to initiate the reaction. However, since hydrogen is highly flammable, there would be an explosion. When sources of fresh water are scarce, a process called desalination is used to remove salt from seawater to produce water. It can be done in 2 ways. 1. Distillation. Water is heated so that it forms a gas, leaving behind the salt. The water that is collected as steam cools to a salt-free liquid. 2. Reverse osmosis. Salt water is let through a barrier that contains many small holes. The holes allow the water molecules to pass through, but not the salt. Human-made technology comparable to the Earth's water cycle is also being used to treat sewage water and reuse it as drinking water. Singapore, for example, derives nearly half of its drinking water from treated sewage. It is known as reclaimed water or new water. New water happens through 1. Microfiltration. Microscopic particles, including some bacteria, are filtered out at this stage. 2. Reverse osmosis. 3. Ultraviolet disinfection. Water passes through ultraviolet light to ensure any remaining organisms are eradicated. Chemicals are added to restore the pH balance. New water is now ready for use. Now, which process is more sophisticated, efficient, and elegant? Is it possible to establish an artificial water cycle system at your house? The human-made inventions of desalination and reclaimed water are simply the results of a combination of cumulative knowledge, resources, and time based on an imitation of an observable phenomenon, the water cycle. In fact, it would be more accurate to say that the desalination process is only a partial imitation of the water cycle. It is an undeniable fact that the development of the modern desalination system and reclaimed water system would not have been possible without the will, effort, and knowledge of many people over many years. Since the Earth's water cycle system is much more complicated and elegant than any comparable man-made system, it must require an even higher level of knowledge and power along with persistent will. Water cycle reveals the presence of its creator through unique marks. You can find evidence for these marks through 2 main observations. 1. The water cycle is the outcome of a series of delicate, interconnected events at both the macro and micro level. 2. All living beings rely on the delicate system of the water cycle. At the micro level, for the water cycle to exist, water molecules need to possess certain physical and chemical properties to allow the water to move from one stage to another. At the macro level, we can see that the water cycle functions through the collaborative work of the sun, the atmosphere, the oceans, the force of gravity, and the solar and galactical systems in which they all exist. Thus, it is clear that the one who creates the earth with living cells of plants, animals, and humans creates certain properties of water to sustain life. Indeed, water is directly created by the most merciful using hydrogen and oxygen. Just as light is produced through a combination of electrical wires, light switches, and bulbs, but not from them, drinking water also comes through pipelines and faucet systems, but not from them. Similarly, the true source of water is not hydrogen and oxygen. Rather, it is the mercy, power, and knowledge who creates water out of oxygen and hydrogen. If the water cycle stopped in its tracks, could we fix it? Could we press a restart button to get it to reboot itself? Would we be able to purchase a quick fix or a substitute for its role? The answers to these questions should be evident. We did not create the water cycle, nor did we purchase it. Indeed, water is the most important element of life. Water is the necessary ingredient for the creation and continuation of life. It is an extremely valuable gift. Would you be willing to give away this gift at any cost? The true bestower of bounties wants in return for the precious gift of the water cycle 3 things: remembrance, reflection, and gratitude. When washing your hands or bathing, remember the journey of the water you are effortlessly using from the ocean to your tap. Reflect on how water is created to nourish your body and keep it clean. Being grateful for the presence of water tends to be easier when you experience a lack of it. A water droplet descends very gently, teaching us to be gentle with others. Water reaches all living beings regardless of race, ethnicity, economic background, or gender, teaching us to help anyone in need without being discriminative.